You have been walking every morning for a year, and your belly is exactly where it was. The fat you are fighting is not under the skin. It is deeper, packed around your liver and pressed between the loops of your intestine. This is not a discipline problem. It is a night problem. Every night, that deep fat drains straight into your liver through one thick vein that runs up from your gut. 5 minutes. That is the whole intervention. 5 minutes standing, in the hour before you sleep. Journal of the American College of Cardiology, 2022. 12 adults, 21 days. Their conclusion, word for word: sleep loss predisposes to abdominal visceral obesity, 11%. That is how much the deep fat around their organs grew in 14 days. Their scale barely moved. Their body fat percentage did not change. Only the scan saw it. Inside your abdomen, there are 2 layers. A thin sheet of soft fat under the skin, and behind the muscle wall, a dense pad packed around your stomach, your intestine, and your liver. Now the strange part. The thing that moved that fat in the lab was not food. It was hours of sleep. And after 60, sleep is the first thing your body stops giving you. University of Otago, 2024. 28 adults. Their words: regular activity breaks, increased mean sleep period time, and time spent asleep. 27 extra minutes of sleep. From 3-minute bursts of chair squats and calf raises in the evening. No gym, no treadmill, no sweat. Just a body that stopped sitting still. The reason is in your legs. Your thigh and calf muscles are the largest sugar sponge you own, and they open the moment they contract. 5 minutes, 6 steps. One window that most people over 60 spend sitting completely still. That is what this video is going to fix. Let me name it once, in doctor language, and then put that language away for good. Visceral fat. That is the phrase printed on a scan report. After this sentence, I am done with it. From here on, it is the fat on the inside. And the kind you can pinch, the kind you see in the mirror, is the fat on the outside. 2 substances. 2 different jobs. They live in 2 different places. The fat on the outside is a soft layer sitting directly under your skin, over the muscle of your trunk, the kind you can grab between 2 fingers anywhere from your ribs to your hip bone. The fat on the inside sits behind the muscle wall of your abdomen. It fills the spaces between the loops of your intestine. It packs around your stomach. It spreads across the top of your liver. 2 men wait at the same bus stop, same height. Same number on the scale, same shirt size. One of them is carrying almost 3 pounds of fat on the inside. The other is carrying almost none. Nothing you can see from the outside tells you which is which. Not the shirt, not the belt, not the mirror in the hallway they both walk past every single morning. That difference decides an enormous amount about the next 10 years of your life. The fat on the outside is a warehouse. It stores things and it stays quiet. The fat on the inside is not a warehouse. It behaves like a gland. It leaks fat into your bloodstream around the clock. It releases substances that cause inflammation, and it does all of that from the worst possible address in your body. Think about the last blood test your doctor went through with you. The fat floating in the blood drifting up. The fasting sugar creeping from 92 to 104 over 6 years. Nobody named the source out loud. Follow the blood and you will see why the address matters. A thick vein runs from your intestines straight up into your liver. It does not pass through the heart first. It is not watered down anywhere. Whatever the fat on the inside releases goes into that vein and lands on your liver undiluted, hour after hour, all night long, while every other part of you is asleep. Your liver gets the raw feed. Every other organ gets the edited version. That is the entire difference between the fat you can pinch and the fat you cannot. If that already changed how you look at your own belly, subscribe. There are 5 more mechanisms coming in this video, and the last one runs entirely while you sleep. And here's the part that makes people over 60 feel like they are losing their minds. Between 50 and 70, most people lose muscle and gain this inside fat at the same time, in roughly equal amounts. The scale can show the same number for 20 years, while the inside of your abdomen is quietly rebuilt into something else. The scale is not lying to you. It is answering a question you never asked it. Go pull out the belt you bought at 45. It still closes. It just closes on a different hole. Same belt, same weight, a different body underneath. That is the trick this fat plays after 60. Look at the photograph on the refrigerator from your daughter's wedding. Same face, same suit, same weight, printed on the same driver's license. The difference is behind the shirt, and it took 11 years. The scale sees pounds. It does not see location. And location is the whole story here. Two people, the same weight, one with a quiet warehouse and one with an organ sitting on the liver. Two words for the rest of this video. Inside, outside. The outside is what you see in photographs. The inside is what shows up in a scan, in a blood test, and eventually in a waiting room. And the difference is not cosmetic. Group after group, the people carrying more of the inside kind sit higher on almost every line that matters after 60. Blood sugar, blood pressure, the fat floating in the blood, what the liver does overnight. So here is what I am building toward, and I am naming it now so you have something to hold on to. 6 steps, 3 windows, 1 sequence, run in the same order every night. I call it the night shift method. I will give you the full night shift method, with the exact minutes and the exact numbers before this video ends. But first you need to see where this fat is decided. And it is not decided in the gym, it is not decided at breakfast. It is decided in the 4 hours between your last bite of dinner and the moment you turn off the light. For most people over 60, those 4 hours are the most physically still hours of the entire day. Dinner, then a chair, then a bed. Nothing in between. Follow dinner on its way through you. It leaves your mouth, drops down your throat, lands in your stomach, and about an hour later, the sugar starts crossing the wall of your small intestine into your bloodstream. Once it crosses that wall, the sugar joins the blood in your abdomen and travels up toward your heart, then out through your arteries to every muscle you own. The delivery happens whether the muscle is ready or not. Now that sugar has to go somewhere, it has exactly 2 doors available to it: your muscles or storage. Muscle or storage. And a body that has been sitting in a chair for 2 hours straight has one of those 2 doors closed, bolted, and painted over. The muscle door is not open by default. It opens when the muscle contracts. Your thigh muscles and the 2 big muscles in the back of your calves are the largest sugar-burning tissue you own. They are the only tissue that can pull sugar out of your blood without asking permission first. Sit still, and that door stays shut. Stand up and squat once and it swings open. 1 squat. That is the whole unlock. Not a program, not a gym membership, not a plan you start on Monday. 1 contraction opens a door that sitting keeps closed. Here is what most people over 60 do instead. Dinner at 6:30, television at 7. The next time the thigh muscles do anything at all is the walk down the hallway at 11:15. Diabetologia, 2016. 41 adults. Their words. The benefits relating to physical activity following meals suggest that current guidelines should be amended to specify post-meal activity. Same people. Same total walking. The only thing that changed was when they did it. 30 minutes in 1 block against 10 minutes after each meal. The after-meal version dropped the blood sugar rise by 12%, and after the evening meal specifically by about 22%. Same shoes, same street, different clock. Their average age was 60, which is why I am putting it in front of you and not in a footnote. 10 minutes. After dinner. Not a workout, not a hike, not a heart rate zone. 10 minutes of ordinary walking around the block or 20 laps of your own hallway if the knees are loud tonight. Not more exercise, better placed exercise. The same 10 minutes, moved into the 1 hour when your body is most likely to store instead of spend. Sports Medicine, 2022. 7 trials pooled. Their conclusion: light-intensity walking was found to represent a superior physical activity break. Standing helped. Walking helped about twice as much. And that gap matters more than it sounds, because it tells you the active ingredient is not being upright. It is the contraction, the shortening, and the lengthening. Standing still at the kitchen counter is closer to sitting than it is to walking. Upright is not the ingredient. Moving is. And there is a ceiling here, and I want to be honest about it. 10 minutes of easy walking is not melting anything by itself. What it does is stop a long, high tide of sugar sitting in your blood while you do not move. There is a second thing your calves do that has nothing to do with sugar. Every time the muscle behind your shin squeezes, it presses on the deep veins inside it and pushes blood upward toward your heart. And that same squeeze does something for the heart itself. More blood coming back means the heart feels better and pushes out a fuller beat without working any harder. Your calves are doing part of your heart's job for it. Sit for 3 hours straight, and that pump stops entirely. That is the ankle that is puffy at 10 at night and completely normal again by 7 in the morning. Look at the chair you sit in after dinner. The seat is worn in one spot. That spot is where 4 hours a night have gone for the last 15 years, and nobody ever counted them. And while you sit there, your stomach and your small intestine are still working through dinner, pushing it along, releasing sugar into the blood running behind them, with no muscle anywhere in your body asking for any of it. That was the first half of the night, and it is only the setup. Now the second half. This is where the fat on the inside is actually decided. Because here is what almost nobody says out loud to people over 60. The strongest thing anyone has ever moved in a laboratory to change the fat inside your abdomen was not a diet. It was hours of sleep. Mayo Clinic, 2022. 12 adults, 21 days inside a sleep lab. The paper reads, total abdominal fat increased only during sleep restriction. 4 hours in bed for 14 nights, against 9 hours for 14 nights. Same people, both times, same kitchen, same free access to food. On the short round, they ate 308 extra calories a day. They did not notice they were doing it. They burned exactly the same amount as before, and the fat around their organs went up about 11% in 2 weeks. 14 nights, 11%. And the bathroom scale barely twitched. The same paper is careful about that point. Their exact words, while changes in total body fat did not differ between conditions. The deep fat moved anyway. Read that twice because it is the reason you have felt crazy for 2 years. Total body fat, unchanged. Fat around the organs, up. Your scale at home would have told you nothing at all was happening. This is the exact moment people quit. 6 weeks of effort. Step on the scale in the morning. The same number. And that number is the only feedback anybody ever gave them. Watch the routine that follows. The scale says the same thing on Monday, so the walking shoes go back in the closet on Tuesday, and by Thursday dinner is late again. That is bad feedback, not weakness. And this is where it turns into a loop. A short night makes you eat more the next day. Eating more later makes the next night shorter. 3 in a row and you are inside a spiral that has nothing to do with willpower. The scale is not the referee. It never was. It counts pounds, and pounds is the one thing this fat is worst at showing you. Now the honest limit, because you deserve it. Those were 12 people, 9 of them men, aged 19 to 39, not people in their 70s. A study that small, in young bodies, proves the direction of the effect. It does not prove the size of it in you. I am not going to pretend otherwise. 12 people, young ones. Direction, not dose. Hold that in one hand while I put something else in the other. University of Chicago, JAMA Internal Medicine, 2022. 80 adults. Their conclusion? Sleep extension reduced energy intake and resulted in a negative energy balance in real-life settings. This one was not a lab. These people slept in their own beds, in their own houses, eating their own food. 1 session of sleep coaching. That was the entire treatment. Nothing else was changed for them. They gained about an hour and 12 minutes of sleep a night, and they ate 270 fewer calories a day. Nobody told them to eat less. Nobody counted anything. 1 conversation about sleep. 270 calories a day gone. Nobody dieted. Nobody knew. 270 calories is a bowl of ice cream you never had to argue with. Every single day. Without deciding anything. Without resisting anything. Without noticing. Short sleep changes what the front of your brain is willing to do. The part right behind your forehead, the part that holds back an impulse, runs on less fuel after a short night. Meanwhile, the areas deeper inside your brain that fire for food run hotter than usual. You are not weaker in the evening. You are being outvoted. You already know exactly what this looks like. It is 9:40 at night, you are not hungry, and you are standing in front of an open refrigerator anyway, with the door held open by your hip. That is not appetite. That is a short night from 3 days ago, collecting what it is owed, and it always collects after dark. The refrigerator is not the problem. That refrigerator has stood in the same corner for 11 years. What changed is how loud it got after a bad week of sleep. And now the part that belongs to you specifically, and not to a 30-year-old with the same complaint. Sleep does not only get shorter with age, it gets shallower. And shallower is the half nobody warns you about. The deep stage, the heavy, hard-to-wake stage that lands in the first third of the night, collapses decades before anybody notices it is gone. JAMA, 2000. 149 healthy men, 16 to 83. Their closing line: future studies should evaluate whether strategies to enhance sleep quality may have beneficial hormonal effects. In that data, deep sleep went from about 19% of the night in young men to about 3% by the middle of life. Not in old age, by 50. And growth hormone fell right alongside it. 19% down to 3%, before 60. That is not a complaint about getting older. That is a window closing while nobody is looking at it. And here is why that matters in a video about your belly. The deepest stage of sleep is when the largest single release of growth hormone in your whole day happens. Lose the stage and you lose the release. It is that mechanical. Growth hormone matters here for one blunt reason. It is one of the few signals that tells fat tissue to release what it is holding and tells muscle to hang on to itself. Send less of it through your blood overnight, and the trade runs backwards. Your thigh and shoulder muscle gives ground, and the pad around your stomach and liver takes it. The same data showed one more thing, and it only starts after 50. Evening levels of the body's main stress hormone begin to climb year after year quietly, and that particular hormone has one very specific habit. It pulls fat toward the middle of your body, and it holds it there. This is the 3 a.m. wake-up. Eyes open, brain running, nothing actually wrong. You lie there for 40 minutes and then get up tired. That pattern is not random after 60. And here is the piece nobody connects. The next evening, that same person is hungrier at 9, later to bed at 11:30, and one more short night goes onto the pile. 12 nights like that is a season. Now the other end of the same window. Not when you sleep, when you stop eating. And this one has been tested about as cleanly as human research ever gets tested. Cell Metabolism, 2022. 16 adults ate the same meals 4 hours later. The finding: late eating decreases wake time energy expenditure and 24-hour core body temperature. Read that carefully because it is not a diet study. Same food, same calories, same amount of it down to the gram. The only thing the team at Brigham and Women's Hospital changed was the clock on the wall. And think about what that rules out. Not extra snacking because the food was measured. Not less exercise because activity was controlled. Not worse sleep because sleep was controlled too. Only the clock moved. Move that identical plate 4 hours later and the body burns less, runs cooler, and gets hungrier. Nothing about the plate changed. Nothing about the person changed either. Same plate. Same calories. 4 hours later, a different outcome. The food did not change, the window did. And it went further than hunger. When they sampled the fat tissue itself, the instructions running inside it had shifted towards storing and away from releasing. The same food, arriving later, told that tissue to hold on. The same paper puts it plainly in its own headline finding: late eating alters adipose tissue gene expression, favoring increased lipid storage. Same meals. Later clock. Now watch a normal evening over 60. Dinner at 7, which is fine. Then a small bowl of ice cream at 9:40. Then 2 crackers with cheese at 10:15, because the bottle says take with food. The plate at 7 was never the problem. The last hour was, and nobody in this house has ever written it down. Nobody counts the 10:15 crackers. Your fat tissue counts every single one of them. And this is not really about the calories in 2 crackers. It is about what a mouthful of anything does to the clock. Your body reads food as a start signal. Give it one at 10:15, and the overnight shift starts 2 hours late. There's a physical reason the last hour weighs more than the first. Food takes roughly 3 hours to clear your stomach and get most of the way through your small intestine. Lie down before that work is finished and your gut is still churning, still moving, still pushing food along, while the rest of you is trying to shut the lights off. 3 hours is not a superstition. It is roughly how long your stomach needs. Everything the night shift method does with your evening is built on that one number. Which brings us back to those 5 minutes. Because here is what the Otago team found almost by accident. They were studying blood sugar. They put wrist monitors on people as a secondary measure, almost an afterthought. And the movement did not just change the evening, it changed the entire night that came after it. BMJ Open Sport and Exercise Medicine, 2024. And the honest half, there was no significant effect on mean sleep efficiency. Longer sleep, not better sleep. 29 extra minutes in bed, 27 and a half of them actually asleep. From nothing but 3-minute bursts of chair squats, calf raises, and standing knee lifts spread across a single evening at home. And notice what did not change. How often they woke up. How long they stayed awake once they did. It did not fix their sleep. It bought them more of it. Those are 2 different products, and only one of them is on the table tonight. More sleep, not better sleep. More. There is a temperature story underneath this. When your leg muscles work, they generate heat, and your body answers by pushing blood out through the arteries toward your skin to dump that heat into the room. Your core drops afterward. That drop, from the middle of your chest and abdomen outward, is one of the strongest sleep signals your body owns. This is also why a warm shower after the 5 minutes helps instead of hurting. The heat goes to your skin, the skin dumps it into a cool room, and by the time you are under the blanket, you are already on the way down. And the honest limit again. Those 28 people averaged 25 years old, not 68. What the study proves is that evening movement does not wreck your sleep the way you were told for 30 years it would. You were told never to exercise at night. That advice was written about running intervals at 9 in the evening. It was never written about 20 chair squats at 9:30. Here is exactly what 20 chair squats looks like. You sit on the front edge of a dining chair. You stand all the way up. You sit back down under control. 20 times, arms crossed if you can. If you cannot cross your arms, put your hands flat on your thighs and push. That is still a chair squat. That still counts. 20 repetitions of standing up. That is the exercise this whole title is built on. Your grandmother could do it at the kitchen table, and after 60, that is exactly the point. And notice how small the ask actually is. 5 minutes is about 1% of your evening. It is shorter than the time you already spend looking for the remote control. The size of the change was never what made it work. Before I hand you the sequence, I want you to have a number of your own. Not a scale number. A number that actually tracks the fat we have spent this entire video talking about. It takes a tape measure and about 40 seconds. And unlike almost everything else in health advice, it has a hard line in it. Stand up, bare stomach. Put the tape around your waist at the level of your belly button, not at your belt line, because the belt sits lower and it will flatter you by 2 full inches. Breathe out normally. Do not suck in. Read the number where the tape meets itself, and read it out loud. That tape is measuring one thing. How far the wall of your abdomen has been pushed out from the front of your spine by what is packed behind it. Your stomach, your intestine, and your liver, in a smaller room. And that is why the belly button is the landmark. It sits at the level where the loops of your intestine are widest, and where the pad around your liver and stomach pushes hardest against the muscle wall in front of it. Now the rule. Your waist has to be smaller than half your height. That is the whole test. 1 tape, 1 line, 1 number. The bathroom scale will never give you. If you are 5'9", that is 69 inches, and half of that is 34.5. Waist under 34.5 inches, you are protecting. Over it, you are carrying what this video is about. Mine was 39.5. 2 years ago, at 5'9". That is a long way past the line, and I had been walking 4 miles a day for 11 straight months when I measured it. So the decision rule is simple. Over the line, you start tonight, all 6, in order. Under the line, you run the 5 minutes 3 nights a week and you keep what you already have. Measure at the same time of day every time. First thing in the morning, before coffee, before breakfast, standing on the same floor. A tape read after dinner will tell you a story that is not true. Write today's number on the inside cover of a notebook with today's date next to it. Not an app. A paper notebook you have to physically open. You will measure again in 12 weeks. So why has nobody handed you this as a sequence? Because a sequence can be checked. If I tell you 5 minutes of chair squats in the window between dinner and bed, you will know by Friday whether you did it. Watch what happens when advice has no time attached to it. Move more becomes a walk at 11 in the morning, which is the 1 hour of your day when none of this matters. The instruction was not wrong. It was unplaced. Move more. Sleep better. Eat earlier. 3 sentences that have sold 10,000 programs and have never once been wrong, because they never once said anything specific enough to be wrong. That is the trade being made for you. Broad advice travels further, sells easier, and offends nobody. The incentive is reach. The casualty is the sequence, the exact minute, the exact movement, the exact order. A sequence is what tomorrow night will not have. The habit that is silently keeping that deep fat fed fills the window again. The autophagy activation blueprint is the replacement. 14 days, 1 payment, no subscription, first link in the description, first pinned comment. Now, before I give you the night shift method, I want to give you something personal. 2 years ago, I was doing everything the internet told me to do. 4 miles every morning. Dinner cut back to almost nothing. And the tape kept saying 39.5 month after month after month. The person who found the actual problem was not me. It was Carol. Carol had been telling me for a year that I fell asleep on the couch at 9 and then went to bed and lay awake until 1. I called it getting older. Carol called it a pattern. Carol wrote the times down on the back of an envelope for 11 nights straight. Carol was right, and I was not. What I had was not a discipline problem. I had a night problem. My last 4 hours were a chair, a screen, and a bowl of something at 10, while I got up at 6 to walk it off. 1 chair, 1 bowl, 1 dark room I got to 2 hours too late. That was the whole thing. So here it is, in full. The night shift method. 6 steps, 3 windows, the dinner window, the wind-down window, the bed window. You run them in order because each one makes the next one possible. Step 1, the 3-hour line. Your last bite of anything with calories in it goes 3 hours before the moment your head hits the pillow. Not 2, not 1.5, 3. If you are in bed at 10:30, your kitchen closes at 7:30. That is the entire rule. Water is fine. Plain tea is fine. If a medication has to be taken with food, take it with food. The medication wins that argument every single time, and you should ask your pharmacist exactly where to place it in your evening. Do not improvise that one on your own. The hardest part of that first rule is not dinner. It is the 9:40 snack that has nothing to do with hunger. Move that food onto the plate at 7:15 instead. Same food earlier. Set a phone alarm labeled kitchen closed at 7:30. Not a reminder to eat, a reminder to stop. It is the cheapest change in this entire method and almost nobody makes it. That is the first one, and it only works because of what comes 10 minutes later. Step 2, the 10-minute table break. When you stand up from dinner, you walk for 10 minutes. Not after the dishes, not after the news. Within about 15 minutes of your last bite. Diabetologia, again, 2016. The method line. Advice to walk 30 minutes each day was compared with advice to walk for 10 minutes after each main meal. Around the block, down the driveway and back 4 times, or 20 laps of a hallway. Easy pace. You should be able to talk the whole way. If your knees complain outdoors, do it indoors. That is the walk that dropped the after-dinner blood sugar rise by about 22% in adults averaging 60 years old. It costs you 1 commercial break. That is the second window closed, and it sets up the one this whole video is named after, which is also the one almost everybody skips. Step 3, the 5 minutes. This is the piece in the title, and it happens in the last hour before bed, standing up, with nothing at all in your hands. Minute 1, 20 chair squats. Minute 2, 30 calf raises, slow, holding a counter for balance. Minute 3, 20 standing knee lifts, 10 on each side. Minute 4, 20 more squats. Minute 5, 30 more calf raises. Do them at the end of the wind down, not the start. These 5 minutes are the last physical thing that happens before the room goes dark. Do them at 7 and you get the blood sugar half and lose the sleep half. If 20 chair squats without hands is too much tonight, put your hands on your thighs and push. If that is still too much, do 10 instead of 20 and add 1 every third night. Do the 5 minutes in the same spot every night, beside the same chair, on the same floor, in whatever you are already wearing. The place does the remembering so you do not have to. Here is what those 5 minutes do inside you. Your thigh and calf muscles contract, and the doors on those muscles open and start pulling sugar straight out of your blood without waiting for anything else. The muscle behind each shin squeezes the deep veins and pushes blood up toward your heart. And heat leaves through your skin so your core is already falling by the time you lie down. Step 4. The dark hour. From the moment you finish the 5 minutes, the room gets dimmer and it gets cooler, and it stays that way until you are actually asleep. Big overhead lights off. One lamp. Screens down, or at least off your face and out of your hands, because a bright screen 12 inches from your eyes is a different animal than a television across the room. Bright light at night lands on the back of your eyes and travels down a nerve into your brain, which reads it as daylight. Dim the room and that signal stops arriving, and the sleep pressure your legs just built is allowed to land. Set the thermostat to about 65 degrees before you start the 5 minutes, not after. It will feel too cold for 4 nights and correct itself on the 5th. By then, your body is dropping with it. Step 5. The 8.5-hour floor. Not 8 hours of sleep. 8.5 hours of opportunity, which is the amount of time your body is allowed to be in that bed. JAMA Internal Medicine, 2022, the same Chicago trial. Their number, sleep duration, was increased by approximately 1.2 hours per night. One coaching session did that. That is the exact target the Chicago team used, and people skip it because it sounds like nothing. If you have to be up at 6:30, lights out is 10. Not in the room at 10. Lights out. Nobody sleeps every minute they are in bed, and after 60, almost nobody sleeps more than 85% of it. So you build the extra in on purpose, in advance. Write the lights out time on a piece of paper and put it where you will see it at 9. Not the wake time. Everybody already has a wake time. The bedtime is the one nobody guards. Step 6. The morning lock. Same wake time. 7 days a week, Saturday included, and 10 minutes of outdoor light within an hour of getting out of bed. This one feels like it belongs to a different video, and it does not. A fixed wake time and early daylight pull the whole schedule earlier, which makes the 3-hour line easier the next evening, which makes the 5 minutes easier, which makes 8.5 hours in bed possible at all. The morning is what makes the night repeatable. 6 steps, 3 windows. The dinner window closes at 7:30. The wind down window runs from 9:30 to 10. The bed window is 10 to 6:30. That is the entire calendar. Morning light does something physical, not something poetic. It lands on the back of your eyes and travels down a nerve straight into the base of your brain, into a small cluster that sets the timing for everything. That cluster sets your body temperature, tells your gut when to move, and tells your stomach when to expect food. Light at 7 in the morning is a wire, not a mood. 6 steps, 3 windows, 1 sequence. Now here is what 12 weeks of running it actually looks like, so you know whether it is working before the tape ever tells you. Weeks 1 and 2. Nothing changes on the tape. What changes is that you fall asleep faster and you stop waking at 3 quite so often. That is the only signal you get, and it is enough. Do not measure your waist during those first 2 weeks. You will only annoy yourself, and you will quit on a Tuesday for no reason at all. Weeks 3 to 6. The 9:40 hunger stops arriving. That is the first real sign the machinery is turning over, because it means the short nights have stopped stacking up behind you. Morning stiffness gets shorter too. Week 6. Get the notebook. Same tape, same spot at the belly button, same time of morning, before you eat or drink anything at all. Write the number under the first one. Week 7 to 12. This is where the tape actually moves. 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches is a normal 12-week change when the sequence is genuinely being run every single night. And if 12 weeks pass and the tape has not moved at all, that is information too. It almost always means the 3-hour line was never really held, or the bed window was 8 hours instead of 8.5. And the number on your bathroom scale may barely move while that happens. The belt moves before the scale does. That is not a consolation prize. That is the fat you actually wanted gone, leaving first. 12 weeks, 1 tape, 2 numbers in your own handwriting. That is the entire scoreboard, and it is the only one that has ever measured the fat this video is about. Now, the part I am obligated to say, and I mean every word of it. None of this is a diagnosis, and none of it replaces your doctor. If you take medication for blood sugar, blood pressure, or sleep, talk to whoever prescribed it. Changing when you eat and when you move can change how that medication behaves in your body. That conversation comes first, before night 1. If you have heart or lung conditions, joint replacements, or you are unsteady on your feet, do the 5 minutes holding a kitchen counter and ask your doctor whether chair squats are right for you at all. If you are pregnant, none of this was written for you. There is no prize anywhere for doing this alone, and nothing here cures anything. Moving fat out of the middle of your body is slow, unglamorous work. It is also one of the very few things that has ever changed what happens next after 60. This is not a cure, and it is not a promise. It is a sequence with numbers in it, run by you, measured by you, inside 4 hours you already own. So, 6 steps, 3 windows, 1 sequence. The 3-hour line, the 10-minute table break, the 5 minutes, the dark hour, the 8.5-hour floor, the morning lock. That is the night shift method, and the whole thing fits inside 4 hours you were already spending in a chair. Nothing added to your day, only moved. Go get the tape before this ends. Waist at the belly button, height in inches, waist under half. Then put your waist number in the comments below. I read everyone, and I answer the numbers first. Put the tape measure in the drawer beside your bed tonight, not in the bathroom. The drawer you open every night is where a 12-week habit survives, and if you want the rest of these, subscribe. Mechanisms, not motivation, 1 video a week. Next week I'm doing the morning half of this, the first 90 minutes after you wake up, and the breakfast that undoes the night. One last thing. If you have been walking every morning for a year and your belly has not moved an inch, you were never lazy and you were never weak. You were doing all of your work in the wrong 4 hours. This was never a discipline problem, it was a night problem. And a night problem is a fixable one.